Todd is speaking. I can't hear anything. Ken, can you hear?
No.
Okay. Sorry, guys. We're switching from closed to open. So why don't we do that again? So we're here on our Police Services Board meeting, January 16th, just after 5 o'clock. We're going to call this meeting to order. Calling for disclosures of pecuniary interest. Anyone? Seeing none, we'll move on to a motion for approval of the agenda. Can I have one, please? Mayor Post. Ken, thank you. All in favor? Yes. Okay, very good. We did have
items, but I'm going to, again, like in close, they're different, but I'm going to leave them to new business.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Ian. We did have an in-camera meeting, which we will talk about later on in this session. This is our public session. And that brings us to item 6. And item 6.1 is the election of the chair and the vice chair. 6.1 is the position of the chair. So I'd like to call for nominations from the board for the position of chair. Lisa?
I would move to nominate the current chair to continue the position of chair.
Okay, very good. Is there any other motions on the floor? Nope, seeing as none. I will accept that position. There's no need for a vote since this looks like it's an acclamation. That brings us to item 6.2 and a call for nominations for vice chair. Lisa?
I would again nominate the current vice chair to stay in that role, should he so choose.
Thank you very much. Is there any other nominations on the floor for vice chair? Seeing none, congratulations to you, Mr. McSweeney. You're the vice chair again. That's great. And we will move forward. So I will resume the position as chair and Ian McSweeney will continue as vice chair. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate your confidence. And that brings us to item 7, and this is the false alarm reports. And what we wanted to talk today about was the issue of bylaw enforcement and potentially, a new bylaw or fee schedule. And I guess I'm going to turn it over to yourself, Raylene. Did you want to speak to this item now?
Certainly I can. Let me just turn on my camera here so Jerry doesn't have to move it over. So our supervisor of bylaw services had created a draft false alarm bylaw for the board's review. There was, after the trial period of initiating the warning letters through our bylaw enforcement officers for the false alarms that have been coming through, there was some questions that we had in relation to this, whether it would be a board-initiated bylaw or whether it would be a town-initiated bylaw and administered by either the OPP or the town itself. But there is definitely a potential need for a bylaw of this sort in order to provide for some fees to be incurred by repeat offenders that have false alarms in which the OPP have to respond.
If I may, when we were in close, we did discuss this item and making sure that we understood, some of the timelines and whatnot before we came into open. Currently, right now, you would just get a warning. There isn't necessarily a fine, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So there isn't, what is the repercussion of the warning?
Nothing at this point. It's just kind of a reminder to those organizations that this is not something that should be happening and that there's the potential that fines could be coming in the future. But at the present time, we do not have a mechanism in order to impose fines on those organizations or businesses.
As we move forward, will they get, so pretend now we have a new bylaw in place and there's actually a process in place. Would they get another warning before they would get a fine, or is it just too early to even say that because it's not been written?
So how it's written in the bylaw would be that in the course of a calendar year, there would be an ascending level of fine structure associated with it. So the first one would be obviously a warning within that calendar year. The second one would be a nominal fine, and then the fine would increase for each subsequent false alarm that happens thereafter during that calendar year, and it would reset every calendar year.
Okay. And if I may, what is the timeline on this? What do you think? think this will be?
So that's why I kind of wanted to speak with the board here today. Is there's some determining factors that we have to understand. If this is a board initiated bylaw, then obviously the potential legislation changes coming in April 1st may change some of that. I'm not really sure. Is this going to be administered by the OPP, or whether it's going to be administered by town staff here, in which case council would have to approve the bylaw, and it would be a council bylaw as opposed to a police services board bylaw.
So I think from discussions that we've had previously, it would be preferable that the town was the one that would enforce it versus the OPP. Change things?
I don't know that it would change things. We would just have to go through our internal processes here and have it run through our senior leadership team. The bylaw has already been drafted. There would be some minor amendments, I think, going forward. So bringing it through SLT, bringing it through council before prior adoption, and then it could be implemented.
So to close this then, do you need something from the board? Need a motion, or how would we go forward?
I think if the board's direction is that it would be implemented by the town, then I think that recommendation coming from the board would be advantageous in allowing us to have that direction going forward to council.
Board members, would you?
So, Mr. Chair, if I might, I agree with that. I think this is a recommendation. I don't think this is a board jurisdiction issue. And I think it's a town issue. I think it's operational. I would be curious to know whether the bylaw that the town does put in has a dispute resolution process in it. If it doesn't, some thought might be given to that.
Raylene, did you want to speak to that?
I'm not aware that there was one included in it right now, but I can take a look at it and report back.
Would they, just as a question, like, would they not go to the justice of the peace if they did? Is that how it would potentially go? Or I can't imagine another dispute mechanism. I'm
unaware of what a dispute mechanism would be at this present time.
Take it as a takeaway. So from this board, excuse me, does anyone else want to speak to this item? My apologies. No. So from this board then, what we're doing is we are instructing the town to come forward with a bylaw and to enforce that bylaw. Could I have a motion to do that?
Right. I think the motion is that we're recommending that this matter be addressed by the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Seconder for that? Lisa, thank you. All in favor? Yes. Okay. Very good. Thank you for that. So this is a community awareness initiative, and we're very pleased today to have retired Captain Kevin Junior, excuse me. Had my accent grave in the wrong spot. And so, sir, we'd love to turn this over to you, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much. First, I should seek to the chair, vice chair, congratulations on being elected to the position, to the mayor and to the rest of the board. I'm honored and humbled to be able to be here to speak to you on behalf of Dufferin County Canadian Black Association. As you're aware, Alethea was invited to speak, but some of you might know she was appointed as a school board trustee, and she's officially being sworn in tonight. So, very important night for her.
We're very excited for her, and we'll be inviting her to a future board meeting too to speak about Board of Education issues. So, if you see her, please wish her well.
Now, I'm relatively new to DCC BA. I was approached by our leader, and I'm now one of the strategic advisor. So this is also a great opportunity for me to be able to learn a little bit more about the background of the organization. DCCBA was founded in June 2020 by Alethea. And it came out of a number of consultations, right? She spoke with the community. She spoke with elected officials, and the result of that was there's a strong, growing Black community within the region, and it was an opportunity to give them a voice, an opportunity for them to be able to have a safe space, some advocacy provided, and education is very powerful. So this also allowed for educational opportunities to be initiated by, or next slide, please. Sorry. And all of the initiatives that were considered at the time, it was all towards having a better community, impacting the lives of families, impacting the lives of business within the community. Further, the association is committed to partnering with established community agencies. So it wasn't just a matter of let's go and do things on our own, but it's to look at some of the lessons learned, some of the best practices that's already there, and how can we partner to make sure that we move those forward. The association further is inclusive, all right? So it's not just because we represent the Black community. It's about everyone within the community that is prepared to roll their sleeves up and get the job done and make sure that we have a successful community. Next slide, please. So, you know, I'm okay speaking to various things, but when it comes to mission and vision, those are things that you have to read, and I'm sure that you've seen the slide, and just to read it out so people can actually hear, and it's to provide leadership for continued development and enhancement of the Black community through civic engagement, education, programs, and services, and advocate for equity and well-being of the Black community in Dufferin County, to be a central hub for resources, tools, and programs that are unique to the needs of the Black community in Dufferin County. And again, it's very specific to making sure that the community has the tool, resources, and the environment in order to thrive. And the vision to develop and foster a socially and economically equitable group that will continue to contribute to the growth and development in the Dufferin County and Canada, to have a strong focus on youth achievement and excellence, to partner with government organizations, all levels of governments, local business and corporations to bring awareness and partnering on issues that impact the community. Again, very focused on making sure that we're part of the team, right, to move the community to where it should be. The values, advocacy, excellence, education, and integrity. And next slide, please. So in order to achieve that, we have a board, a diverse board in which we've got youth, we've got some senior individuals, and we've got male, female. So again, very strong voice at the table so that we're hearing what is required and can move forward in an equitable manner. Next slide, please. So very community oriented. There's an African proverb that said, it takes a village. And in this, we're using the same approach in which the community is an extension of the family, where individuals can come together and share their skills, share the culture, make sure that people have a sense of identity. If you're in Toronto, the feel in Toronto is very different than it is out here. So let's embrace the culture, embrace the community, and make sure that everyone is included. The DCCBA is a strong community partner and have established partnership with various groups, right? And again, to create a better community. We already have a strong community, but what can we do as an organization to make it better, right? Work to address the needs of this amazing community. there's some organization that will come in with an agenda, right? This organization is coming in and say, well, let's do a quick needs assessment and see what's there. What are some of the gaps that's there, and see how we can actually fill those gaps. Next slide, please. And you can see a number of the community partners that's there. And I mean, it's education, it's just regular folks that are coming together to say, what can we do to make sure that our community is better and stronger? And the next slide, please. And you can see that there are a number of smaller organizations, smaller townships that we're actually touching. So this in itself tells you that we require various assistance. We are a small group, but willing to roll our sleeves up and impact whomever that requires our service. Next slide, please. So as you can see, we've been able to impact individuals, impact the broader community, and through a number of activities that we've done. You can see Ask our Expert and educational series. So from this, you can see that there are over 20 events or that's been conducted where we bring in subject matter experts to talk about what they do and make sure that individuals' knowledge has been impacted. It's about capacity building, right? So you can start from financial literacy to wellness. It is said right now that individuals are alone, and loneliness now. I think they said it's like smoking 15 packs of 15 cigarettes per day. So again, series like this will impact the different challenges that people have. We've got scholarship programs. To date, we've got 6 bursaries and 24 scholarships that's been handed out. And this range anywhere from $50 to $1,000 to the individuals, right? Advocacy programs that's out there. We've, again, a number of partnerships that we've had. We've survived COVID, we're on the other side. But again, this is an opportunity for us to be able to bring information to the community. We have proclamation and flag raising ceremonies during Black History Month, right? And a special event, which is Black History Month event. So been very busy. And as we look at our vision, I'd like to highlight, next slide, please. This one young man, Graydon, who not only is he just impacting his school or his community, but he's actually taking the vision and making it alive, in which he's now going to South America, right? So here's a scholarship recipient who is not just working within our community, but he's now gone international, right? Spreading the word and waving the flag for us. Okay. Next slide, please. Some upcoming events. Black History Month is on the horizon. So, we've got flag raising ceremonies throughout the communities. So, if you're available, please be aware of the different events, and I'm sure that there will be other ceremonies that are coming on board. And then on February 24th will be the major event. And I don't know if you've ever heard Liberty Silver sing. She's amazing. So she'll be there. And if you haven't heard her sing before, come on out and you'll be able to get an opportunity to hear her sing. So how can you support? Well, through ongoing partnership, membership, and if funding is available, promote the membership page. It's an opportunity where individuals can find out, different activities that's going on and take advantage of that, and share information about our merchandise. I like the T-shirt that says "Inspire." Right, when I first saw that, I said, "Hey, I want one of those." So if there's possible, for you to be able to assist us, then it'd be great. And as I said, funding is always an issue, so we will never say no to dollars that can come our way. The next slide, please. It's the call to action, and we're looking at further collaboration. How can we make sure that we build a stronger relationship within the community through education, through outreach, any workshop or events? Let's partner to make sure that we can get the information out there. Continue to leverage different resources. We've got different job postings that's coming up. Volunteers are always needed. Again, here's an opportunity, and we're looking at increasing that diversity among different boards, among the leadership teams. So however we can collaborate to make this happen, we're always there. And DEI training is always important. With a law enforcement background, I know that there's annual training. So it's not a one-off that, I've attended the workshop and it's there. It's changing the culture. It's making sure that people are continuously aware. So here are some things that we can actually do. And, as we move forward, we are always willing to see how we can partner to make sure that things happen. And again, it's about the impact and the bottom line. So next slide, please. So I want to thank you for allowing me to be able to pinch hit for Alethea and the organization, and to say, we've got an organization of volunteers who are committed to making sure that the community is stronger, the community is better. And as we move forward, we would like to do whatever is possible to make sure that the community tomorrow is better than when we saw it. So thank you again for allowing me. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Thank you very much for your presentation. You're a great presenter.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a great presenter. Board members, any questions for our guest? The one thing that I found interesting, everyone, is the DEI training piece, and through my association with the town and the mayor and the county, we've certainly been through quite a few pieces of DEI training, and I've learned quite a bit. So I think that's a good thing. And then this board is going to be going through training, and I'm not sure exactly what it's going to entail. We'll find out, but I imagine DEI will be a large part of it. So anyway, we look forward to having strong relationships with you, and I'm sure the inspector will want to do the same with your organization. And it's funny, I looked through your pictures and I knew a lot of those people. They're all community leaders, and I guess a call out if I could. I saw Warden White in there quite a few times, and he's into everything, and very, very pleased to see him so involved with your organization and out there. And certainly this board would be interested in doing the same. So thank you very much for being here, sir. And it was a pleasure. And thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. God bless you.
Very good. Okay. So thank you for that. Well, this brings us on to item number 9, and this is the inspector. Inspector.
Hello, sir. How are you? Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the different detachment.
Can you hang on just a second, Inspector? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Mary Lou, what did I miss?
Could we just have someone?
Just want to receive that?
the-
Receive the report. Okay, I'm sorry. So motion to receive that report. Ian, thank you very much. Lisa, thank you. All in favor of receiving that? Yes. Okay. And then my apologies, Inspector. The floor is yours.
No problem. Thank you. Sorry, sir. So yeah, on behalf of the different detachment, it's a pleasure to be here virtually with you this evening to present the detachment commander's report. The data in the report provided to PSB is up basically from October 1st to the end of November, so November 30th, 2023. Reason being the statistics for December 2023 aren't available until the end of January 2024. And at that point, once the statistics are available, I'll be sure to cover it off at a future meeting. So in terms of the public complaints, we had one conduct complaint over the last 2 months. Now that's for the entire county. It's not just specific to this PSB. When I look for the calls for service billing summary report, nothing really jumps out of my mind of significance unless there's any questions. We did see a slight increase in collisions and a decrease in drug possession as well as trafficking.
Oh, sir, I think somehow you've become muted.
Sorry, yeah, we saw
Oh,
a
there we
slight
go.
increase. Yeah, sorry, we saw a
Go
slight
ahead.
increase in violent crime during this time period, as well as when we compare it to 2022, a slight increase in property crime and a slight decrease in drug crimes. Clearance rates were up 5.4% in 2023 compared to the same time in 2022. I don't have any 2023 comparators, but there were approximately 1,199 highway traffic act charges laid up until the end of November, and 15 criminal code traffic, 61 non-traffic criminal code, 149 other charges, and 1,424 criminal code or provincial statutes that don't fall within the other categories. I can't provide a summary for our Part 1 offenses, which is your tickets, as well as Part 3s. Again, unfortunately, because the data won't be available until the end of January 2024. Looking at our collision data for October and November, the majority of crashes are caused by driver inattention, which is one of the big 4 causal factors of crashes on OPP and all police patrolled highways, roadways. And our officers continue with 24/7, 365 high visibility, as well as enforcement of the big 4. When I look at the specific causal factors, there's also other moving violations. So again, it speaks to the importance of safe driving behaviors and everybody in the community doing their part to protect themselves as well as their neighbors in the community. We had 47 false alarms in Orangeville from October 1st into the end of November 2023. Unfortunately, I don't have a 2023 comparator for you. Our ride hours looked very good overall. Our festive ride campaign, you can see the increase in ride hours. There was 158.25 hours of ride being done in Orangeville alone, and that excludes the number of ride hours that were done as a result of the grant at 421 hours. So there's certainly a lot of ride visibility through the festive ride campaign, at least in the month of November. Foot patrol hours, again, the focus being on the downtown core. It's something our officers are doing 24/7, 365 to engage with the residents and engage with business owners as another way of personalizing what we do with our communities. Nothing sticks out beyond that. We didn't have any impaired by drug arrests during the same time period. And we had 2 traffic initiatives. In October, November, there was Operation Impact, which took place during the Thanksgiving long weekend, and I will speak to that a little bit later on in my presentation, as well as Festive Ride. Now, Festive Ride started November 16th, 2023, and it ended January 1st, 2024. Unfortunately, I can't provide all the stats at this point, like I said, until the end of the month, but I'll be sure to add it in a subsequent report. Auxiliary unit, again, does a fantastic job for our detachment. I'm very proud of them. Work that they've done in our communities include Toys for Tots, Krama Cruiser, Boo on Broadway. They've done senior fraud presentations and child car seat clinics, and there are a lot of other great work that they're planning on doing for 2024. With respect to the Thanksgiving long weekend, I'm proud to say that our detachment was probably one of the leading detachments in terms of proactive traffic enforcement results, with 121 speeding charges, 9 stunt or racing charges, 5 impaired driving charges, 12 seatbelt charges, and 92 other traffic related charges. So we'll continue with the big 4 and all we do in our communities. And in the month of October, I joined the Dufferin Detachment. And in the month of September, we onboarded a new Staff Sergeant, Corey Chawartha, who was previously a member of the Dufferin OPP detachment. And other than that, I'd just like to add and encourage our community to follow the Dufferin OPP on X or Instagram or Facebook at #DufferinOPP, subject to any questions that anybody may have.
Any questions? Board members, any questions for our inspector? No? Do we feel that, is there anything on this, there was a list just to sort of prompt us here. Is there anything on this list that anybody would like to speak to?
I believe we're talking about CamSafe.
Yes. So CamSafe we added as 9.8. Did you want to cover that off or?
Sorry, yes, happy to. Just something that we released last week. So CamSafe, just encouraging residents and business owners alike, if they have cameras outside of their businesses or residences, that they would like to register on CamSafe. It's completely free. And what it allows us as police officers to check an area if we have a crime, in order for us to sort of look at other additional investigative leads, and we don't tap into your privacy. We have a way of contacting the owner of the camera and asking permission, and it's up to the owner of the camera to determine whether or not they would like to give the officer that permission.
Inspector, sorry,
Ken?
Mike, when you do
Yes, sir.
contact the owner, do you like ask them for online feedback, or will an officer, like I'm trying to physically see this, will an officer come out and look at the footage, like within a certain period of time with the owner? Or will you
Correct.
take the box, or you take the box?
No, typically what happens is it's put onto a USB drive. I mean, if it's really large, the other way is we have a method of using technology for us to upload it into our own records management system. So that's another way as well.
Okay.
So,
Any
Mr.
other-
Chair, just on.
Go
I
ahead,
just
Ian.
want to address with Mike, and Mike, I sent you an email on this. Items 9.1 to 9.4 are from me. You know, as part of our ongoing governance revisions on our new framework, we've been trying to get our arms around the business planning process that we need to engage with the OPP on, both with respect to the current legislation and upcoming as of April 1st under the new regime, but just focusing on what we currently have to do under the Police Services Act. The 2023-2025 strategic plan. I know that the current strategic plan is the 2000 to 2022. Any word on the status of that plan?
Sorry, yes, the corporate strategic plan for 2023-2025 was released just before Christmas time, and I can certainly provide you with a copy of that. My apologies. And with respect to our action plan at the detachment level, that was written by, I'm told, the last detachment commander, who has since moved on to a new position in the OPP and is awaiting approval. And I still haven't yet commenced writing the 2023 progress report. And again, waiting for data is the reason why corporately.
Okay, so just to dissect that, so this board gave input to the 2023 action plan. So when that action plan gets written, that input will be, I guess, part of that.
That's correct, yes.
Right, okay, so, and that, okay, so, and that will be available at some point during 2024.
Correct, I hope soon. It is with approval levels at this point.
Okay. And then on the progress reports, the existing action plan is the 2020 to 2022 action plan. And we do have progress reports 2021 and 2022 on that action plan. So that's fine. So we're really just awaiting the 2023 action plan to be released. And then I guess, and then the process begins under the new strategic plan, developing the 2024 action plan, but that's a process we need to engage in going forward. And I kind of think that we should wait and do that under the new CSPA as opposed to trying to do it now under the PSA, because I think some of the parameters have changed.
Sorry, just for a clarification, sir. So the the 2023-2025 action plan that then Inspector Ward would have consulted with the PSB about, that has been written. I just learned while I was away last month. It is written, but waiting for approval. The 2023 progress report has not been initiated. So the results of what we did last year in our communities, that I anticipate should be released in the future, but I can't give a date. And with respect to waiting for the CSPA, that is a corporate decision, and I'm happy to chat offline with you, and we can chat with our folks at the strategy management section about that specific ask. I'm quite sure, though, it's flagged on their radar. So, but we can have that conversation.
So the action plan that we're waiting for is dated, what are the dates around that?
2023 to 2025.
I see. So that was, and that's based on the 2023 to 25 strategic plan, which is now has been released. So that's the scramble.
Before Christmas.
That's the scramble, right? Making sure that that dovetails with the strategic plan. Got it.
Correct.
Okay, so you'll send that to us when you get it.
Correct.
And then the status, and you and I have had this discussion. I'm happy to take it offline, but I just, we've gone around on it a little bit. The detachment commander annual report required by the adequacy standards regulations. I'm just curious about the status of that. It's the report that's required under section 31. When you and I last talked, I think you were mentioning the annual OPP report, which is under a different section, right? That's section 17.4 of the PSA. This is something that's different. This is and that's province-wide, right? So what this is specific to the Dufferin County detachment, an annual report that comes from the detachment commander under section 31 of the adequacy standards regs.
It would probably be best if we spoke offline about that one again. The strategy. Yeah, so we could probably chat about that.
I'm happy to, but I haven't, and I'm not blaming you here, but I've initiated this discussion a number of times and haven't really got an answer yet. So I don't know who I need to speak to about it.
Well, if you don't mind, we can chat offline about that, and we can go through the contacts.
Okay, great.
Okay, that's great. Just out of curiosity, Inspector, with those items, are we behind where we would be historically? Like, this is the first time Orangeville's gone through this, right? Because we've started a new business here in town, so this is new to us, the process. Would it have normally been released prior to this? Or is it on
the action plan itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't speak to the specific reasons why the corporate strategic plan, which is ultimately what we as a detachment use to make our action plan. I can't speak to that, and all I can say is that we can have an offline discussion about Mr. McSweeney's question, and that may answer your question.
That sounds
and
fine.
Mr. Chair, you recall that part of the problem of terminology, and we've been through this with the ministry, that the adequacy standards regulations refer to the action plan as the board's business plan. So, there was a bit of a disconnect between what the business plan is and what the action plan is, and we've determined that they're the same thing. The action plan becomes the business plan, and it feeds off the strategic plan, and there you go. But for a long time, they seem to be two different things, but they're not. They're exactly the same, just called different things under the regulations.
That's fine. I guess, and we'll let everybody off the hook, and we can certainly schedule an outside meeting to grasp it. My piece would be is it's hard to know where you're going if you don't have a document that kind of states what the priority should be, and then we get a little checklist and whatnot. So I guess it feels like we should have something, and that's fine. We'll take.
I may be able to speak to that, Mr. Taylor, more specifically. Sure. I mean, our priorities remain the same with respect to crimes against persons, property crimes, mental health, road safety, and other local commitments that we make to our community. So,
Okay, great. Mr. McSweeney, are you good on this point for now, or?
And Mike, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I just think these things.
Oh, no, that's okay.
And I think it's a good idea to do them publicly, just so that the public can kind of appreciate the back and forth on the issues that are sometimes a struggle to resolve.
Yep, I think that's fair. Okay. 95, 96, 97. Board members, anybody want to speak to those? It feels to me like we're fine on them. Do we need to do anything in public on these items, or are we okay? Okay. So that brings us to item 9 itself. Can we have a motion to receive the presentation by the inspector? Ken, thank you. And Ian as a seconder. All in favor? Yes. Okay, very good. So that takes us through item 9. Thank you very much, Inspector. Always appreciate that presentation. So then this is item 9 and, or excuse me, item 10, and this is the Orangeville Police Services Board workflow plan. It's the work plan review, excuse me. Super important. It's on page 86, 87 in your documentation. There is a lot of things in here that we should make sure that we're not missing. And if, just as a reminder, this was created so that we were looking ahead to different dates and making sure that we weren't going to miss tasks. And, you know, to the point, a conversation that was had earlier, item 9E, which is on page 87, is indeed the, oh, sorry, it might be F. It's F, 9F, the board to review the EA 2023 performance in camera. So there is key events on here that we need to make sure that we're going to fulfill. And I wonder if we just need to take a minute and pause and make sure that we're on top of these items.
So, Mr. Chair,
yes,
as painful as it might be, I think I can do this in 5 minutes.
That would be great.
Okay,
Again,
so
my motivation is I want to make sure we're not going to fall apart here.
Yeah, no, and I mean, and this work plan is built to have checks and balances so that if we miss something in 1 month, it gets picked up in the next. So it's assuming, first of all, it's assuming that we meet every month, which of course is not going to be true. So it needs constant adjustment, but it is a great template to follow. So for January, it's the items listed 1 through 9. In item number 1, we can take care of it's the chair and the vice chair have to report to the town with respect to crime statistics and basically the report that Mike just gave us. So I think if you can accept that assignment that at the next town council meeting, that you will communicate that information. And it's basically required under our crime information sharing policy, which is D3N, and our information sharing protocol, which and policy D3U, which requires us to evaluate the adequacy and effectiveness of our policing. So under those two policies, there's reporting requirements, and that's what item 1 is all about. So if you and Lisa can take that report that Mike just gave us back to the town, we will have satisfied 1.
So in full disclosure, I have done that already, but again, new process, and we're trying to make sure we're checking the boxes. I actually sent that to council. I don't think I shared that with the appropriate staff. So maybe I'll just circle back and do that portion. But town council has that in their possession and are able to read it. So okay. I'll circle back with staff.
Great. So item 3, the business plan consultations. I mean, in a normal year, and that's just picking up on your question, Mike, are we ahead or behind of where we normally would be? The business plan is the action plan. So Mike has advised us that based on the strategic plan that was released in December, that the 2023-2025 action plan, which will be the business plan, has already gone internally to the OPP and will be released shortly. So, the consultations that are relating to that action plan, we did in 2003. We've already given our input into that plan. You may recall we had a meeting. I'm happy to circulate the input items if anyone wants them, but we did have a meeting. We did develop that input and we communicated it to the OPP. So I think for purposes of business planning, the next step will be when a progress report will come out from Mike, I think, on the action plan, and we'll consider it as a board, but it'll just be a receiving item. So it will really be these action plans, business plans, are meant to last 3 years. So, I kind of think we're good to go on this whole business planning process for the next 3 years, subject to tweaks that arise in connection with the progress reporting. Now, I don't know, we should revisit this come April and just double check that there isn't something else we need to do, because a lot of the things, the governance related things around the action plan, the business planning process, may need to be tweaked. But you can leave that to Mary Lou and I to bring that forward to.
So that would be on an April or potentially May agenda for discussion.
I think so. Yep. And then item 4, like all of these matters, item 4 relate to that business plan. So I think we can kind of tick them off. And then you'll see item 6, the executive assistant prepares and collects remuneration expense claims. We've done that. That's an agenda item. Yeah. And then the service standards compliance report, we've got that on this agenda, so you can tick that off. The board has received a status report from the detachment commander with respect to, the one that what Mike has just reported to us on crime information and the statistics. That was on the agenda, and that report has been done. And then item number 8 requires the executive assistant to include the board action register and work plan on the meeting agenda. Well, we've got that on this meeting agenda, so we're compliant there. And then on January tasks, I think we're generally good. So task A is the requiring, once again, you, Mr. Chair, to report to the town with respect to the 2023 adequacy standards compliance. So it's kind of the same thing as in item 1 above, but we've included it as a January item because it's specific to January. And then I think the rest of the material, the confirmation of the annual report, the annual receipt of the detachment commander's equal opportunity procedures, that is under our policy D3A. Mary Lou, I think you need to follow up with Mike on that after. And it's not on this agenda, but I think we need that report. And I'm happy, Mike, to go offline and talk to you about that.
Okay, thank you.
Then our conflict of interest policy. Normally, the policy requires for an annual review. Well, we just approved it in late last year, so I think we can comfortably take that off the agenda and put it back on for the January 2025 agenda, because we just have to look at it once a year. The training and education. So this is one that we haven't really talked about, but we do have a training and education policy, and what it really requires is Mary Lou and Todd putting their heads together and deciding, looking forward, what sort of training and education opportunities they are going to present to board members. I mean, sometimes it's just, there's a conference here and a conference there, but I think the two of you need to decide on any formal training exercises that you're going to require as a matter of course for board members. I don't think this is an onerous thing, and I'm happy to talk to you about it too. For example, there's going to be mandatory training coming out prior to April for board members under the CSPA. There's going to be supplementary training that's put out by the OAPSB in conjunction with that new CSPA training. And so it may be that your education plan is simply to make sure that the supplemental training by the OAPSB is scheduled, that the mandatory training is scheduled, and that any other training opportunities that board members bring to the board by way of conference attendances or other educational opportunities will be considered and approved by the board as they come. Something like that.
So that one in particular, I think it's going to be very easy for us because as of April, May, we're going to be inundated with requirements, right? So I feel like we can hold on that while we wait, and we won't have a choice. If you want to be a part of the board, you have to go through that education process. So there will be no choice.
I think that's right. And some of this seems kind of funny but this is the first time we're doing this, right? As the years go by, as the months go by, we will become more familiar with this work plan and more familiar with, with the kinds of things that we have to pay attention to monthly to get by the end of the year to get to where we need to get to be fully compliant with our policies and with legislation.
So for F, that's where you are now, right?
I'm actually on E. And Mary Lou, one thing that wasn't in the agenda was your semi-annual remuneration report, but you can easily circulate that to the board.
For F, we're going to schedule a special meeting for that. And I guess we'll do that offline and have a poll go out. Can we do something like that, Mary Lou? Does that make sense? Throw out some times, and maybe it's best if you let it because it would be a second. And we're actually going to need 2 meetings as I think that through. We're going to need one as a board, excluding, and then we're going to need one as a board, including. Right?
The including and excluding is Mary Lou.
It is. We're going to need an alignment meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then we're going to need the meeting. So we need 2 meetings.
We do.
Sorry, everybody, but there's no other way to do that.
Yep. And then finally, just to wrap this, and then I'm done, item G, which is the board's receipt of the adequacy, the detachment commander's adequacy standards, police services skill development and learning plan. So under section 33 of the adequacy standards regulations, the OPP, the detachment commander has to have that development plan. It's not a policy item. We don't have to have a policy on it. But under the service standards, under the reference is 8.6 of our policy, we've decided that we'll just receive that from the detachment commander on an annual basis.
And what's the timing on that one? We're supposed to have it.
It's whenever it's available, really. But we raise it at the beginning of each year, and then it'll be an item that dumps over month by month. And Mike, not to put you on the spot, is Mike still? Yes, he is. It's section 33 of the adequacy standards regulations. That is the information that we're looking for. So if you have any questions about that, we can speak offline.
Okay, so that puts us into February, which we won't have. We'll be together in March. We want to go through February.
I don't think so. So in March, you can rely on Mary Lou and I to put together what we need in March, recognizing that we didn't meet in February. So we'll consolidate things.
Okay. Ken and Lisa, do you have any comments on that long process. There was a lot there. No? Your eyes glazed right over? You
No,
okay?
we're good.
Okay. Okay, good. I feel better about that. Thank you very much, Member McSweeney. So that is item 10 in whole. And the only thing that we need to do immediately is, and I don't know if we need to instruct, but a motion to have two special meetings called. And one is with the secretary and the other one is not with the secretary. Can we have a motion to do that? Lisa, thank you. And Ian, you lit up there, so I'll have you second. All in favor? Very good. Okay. So that is item 10.
So, Mr. Chair, just on 10.3 in the agenda does refer to the performance review of the detachment commander. I mean, obviously, Mike hasn't been on the job very long. At some point during 2024, we will have to conduct that review in accordance with our policy.
Well, so let's just back up for a minute then. So I had thought that what we decided was we wouldn't do that. We would have a discussion about expectations versus accomplishments because it's new.
And that discussion, sorry, maybe I just missed that. That discussion is being handled under a separate meeting.
I think we need to talk that through a little bit. But
Okay.
that was my understanding is we wouldn't do that this year because how fair would that be?
Well, I don't
unless
know.
you wanted to conduct something at mid-year.
So I'm happy to let this stand until after April, but I think we need to revisit it because I think the CSPA puts a slightly different twist on some of the requirements, including the review of the detachment commander's performance. So I'm happy to revisit it under our refreshed policies that we'll have to have in place prior to April 1.
Well, when would you do that then? Are you going to do it in April or March?
Not March, but probably we'll talk about it. I don't know when we'll do it, but we'll talk about it again in April or May, whenever we meet after March.
Okay, so I'm just thinking it through again. If you do that, then you're going to have a session in mid-year, which means you're going to have a special meeting to do that session, and you're probably going to need the same thing. You're going to need 2 meetings.
Yeah, but you recall under our policy we have that template for performance review.
I do.
And it's quite robust.
But the board would
also
meet in closed session to discuss that, right?
And then there's the requirement that we submit that report
Yes.
to senior OPP management.
So what I'm getting at is we would want to meet again, and if there's an April timeframe and you'd want to submit it by mid-year, I would think.
Yeah, if we feel we have enough information to submit it, I think it's a bit, it's a bit of a moving issue. We want to make sure we have enough information, or that we qualify the performance review to reflect that we only have a half a year of information or whatever. We want to make sure it's fair. So let's revisit the whole question of the timing and substance of the detachment commander's performance review. Let's revisit all of that in a meeting after April.
So would we just put that in the calendars now then? So we would need a special meeting?
I don't think so. I think we can do it in our regular in-camera meeting. We can talk about it.
Okay.
And then decide if we need a special meeting.
That's fine. So do we need a motion to put that on to a special meeting? Or the April meeting? Sorry, I just don't want to lose the point. It's an important point.
Yeah, I think that's fine. So the to-do will be that this gets placed on the if we're meeting in April, on the April meeting.
Okay. I'm sorry, everyone, that this is belabored. I'm sure it's painful if you're watching, but okay. So for item 10.3, there's going to be a motion on the table, and Ian, you might as well make the motion that we will review the status of the performance review for the detachment commander at that time.
I think that's perfect.
Okay. Do we have a seconder of the motion? Mayor Post, all in favor? Yes. Okay. That's grindy stuff, but I think it's important that we don't miss it. Okay, so that brings us on to item 11, and that is the grant update. And essentially where we are on the grant update, I think I can just update everybody, is the transfer payment was received and signed and returned to Solgen, and unfortunately we are waiting for the first installment payment. So those funds are supposed to be in place before and spent before March 31st, 2024. So our leader, Mayor Post, has agreed to work behind the scenes to with her provincial contacts to see what can be done. And we're handing that over to her in this session to see if she can secure that funding and find out what's happened. Is that a good summary, board members? Any further comments or questions? No. Okay, so we need a motion to deputize Member Post to be able to do that action on our behalf. I'll make the motion. We have a seconder, Ken or Ian. Ian, thank you. All in favor? Yes. Okay, very good. Okay, and so this is item 12, and it is the meeting of the service standards for January. And again, we have a list of dates and commitments that we make to each other. And in my view, at this point, we have met them, and I always like to give myself a pat on the back if I can. I did mine on New Year's Eve day, so I beat the deadline, which is great. Any comments or questions? Criticisms of this? No, we're still in good shape. Okay. My only comment is, Mary Lou, I love the process, and could we do the same? It keeps us in step and on track, and reduces any friction as you're trying to keep these things ongoing. So if we can do that for March, I'd be grateful. And if there's no other comments from the board, then I'll just ask for a motion to receive the report. Mayor Post, Ken, thank you. All in favor? Yes. Okay, very good. Item 13, this is on page 93 in your board docket, and this is just special remuneration. It is claims for special meetings that are outside of our regular meetings. Ken, did you have a comment or a question that you wanted to make?
Yeah, I do have a question. I do have a question, Mr. Chair. Sure. I was also at the December 12th zone meeting. I noticed there's no claim for myself.
Yes, so each member has to put forward their own report. So if you haven't done that, then it wouldn't be on.
I was not aware. However, I did do it today, so I can send it to you right now, Mary Lou. I have it all done. I'll email to you right now.
Okay, and we'll have to put that forward for next meeting then. Okay. Okay, so any other comments or questions on this? No. Motion to receive then, if I could. Lisa, thank you. I'll do that then. I'll second it. All in favor? Yes. Okay, very good. Item 14 is the final remuneration report, and this is just a summary of all the expenses that have been submitted throughout the year. And again, it's our way of being open and transparent with the public when you're spending taxpayers' money. I think it's a very good summary, and shows that the board was active and pushing the items forward. So any comments or questions on this item, board members?
Just asking Mary Lou to accept my apologies for saying that it wasn't on the agenda when in fact it is on the agenda. How could I ever doubt you?
You're wrong again, Ian. Okay, so a motion to receive this report. Mayor Post, have a seconder, please. Ian, thank you. All in favor? Yes. Okay, very good. Number 15, and this is on attachment 2 now, if you're keeping score. So this is the Zone 5 meeting, and I understand that Vice Chair McSweeney and Member Ken, you were at this. Ken, did you want to offer an update of the Zone 5 meeting?
I did have something to add. In regard to the presentation that was done by the Guelph Police in regards to evidence-based budgeting, one thing that I really took out of it, I'm not sure if you saw this too, Ian, they were talking about supporting Ontario's First Responders Act, about mental health like PTSD, and the need to support WSIB. So my question is, for WSIB funding, it's more of a three-part question. Who is responsible for funding WSIB obligations to meet this legislation? For officers, is it the town or is it the OPP? Second part is, if it's the town of Orangeville, I don't recall a line item on our budget for this. And a follow-up, are we meeting our WSIB obligations? So it's a three-part question.
So who would you be asking that to?
First, I guess I'd ask Mike.
With respect to the coverage, it would be my understanding is the OPP that would cover that.
The OPP, so the OPP is the one that covers it and pays for the premiums?
Yes.
Okay, and are we up to our legislation? Are we meeting this legislation standards?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Was there any other highlights that you'd like to speak to, Ken? What happened at the meeting? What was the what's the Coles notes?
Basically, that Coles notes just went over their financials and just some updates, like nothing really. This is what I really took out of it. I was more focused on this.
Member McSweeney, did you have anything you wanted to add to the Zone 5 meeting?
So the Zone 5 secretary will produce the minutes, which will be, as soon as I get them, I'll send them to Mary Lou, and they'll be on the agenda for the next meeting. But there was the usual, there was a discussion about the CSPA spring conference, which we talked about before. I'm going to it. There was a lot of talk about mandatory training and about boards not being ready or confident that they're going to be ready to be fully in compliance with the CSPA requirements come April 1st. There was actually some discussion, which I took heart from that the ministry is starting to recognize that they may have been too aggressive in connection with proclaiming that April 1st date, and that there may have to be some extension to that. But I don't think we're going to hear about that extension if it does happen. I don't think we're going to hear about it much before sometime in March, right? I think it's pedal to the metal from here on in, and then I think there'll be an assessment as to how close the ministry thinks boards are to be compliant. There is a general understanding that the ministry doesn't want to set police service boards up to fail and to be non-compliant. So, but far be it from me to predict what the government will do with this. All we can do is try to get ready as quickly as possible, and to go from there.
If I may, to yourself and Ken, what is the thoughts on that? If I may, it's the educational piece that concerns me. And what concerns me is not the idea of taking the course. I'm actually excited to take the course. I'm interested in learning. I don't want to be jammed with dates that are unrealistic. And, it's going to be quite a commitment to get through all of that and make sure that you're certified. And I'm really hoping that they're going to give us time to be in. And by time, I don't mean a year. I don't mean 6 months, but don't expect me to have a whole bunch of reading and online courses done in a truncated period of time. So I'm hoping if there's a message that can be delivered, that would be it, right?
I'll have to spend the 3 hours, right? These 5 modules are and we're nowhere near done, but the 5 modules are are estimated to require about 3 hours of online time. And so that's kind of the timing commitment. When I speak to this, I think it's a separate agenda item, but might as well talk about it now. And of course, the legislation that makes it mandatory says that it's mandatory by April 1st, and that board members don't have the ability to discharge their duties if they haven't completed the training. There is a bit of a saving provision. I forget what section it is, but there is a bit of a saving provision that allows the government by ministerial directive to extend for existing board members. So for board members that are appointed previous to April 1st, there's a saving provision that allows the minister to extend the amount of time they have to remain in power to discharge their duties prior to training. But that requires a ministerial direction.
So just to make sure we're all on the same page, like you are a test dummy, right? And an affectionate term, but the rest of us haven't seen it. So all I'm saying is, and I know I'm just shooting the messenger, hopefully they'll send it out soon. It's January and February. What better time to be in front of a computer than in January and February, and allow us to get educated now, as opposed to jamming us at the end. Like, I'm not bucking the process, I'm just bucking the timeline. So send it to me and we'll do it. And
but
if you could let Zone 5 know that would be great.
Before it gets sent, it has to be developed.
I get it.
Stage we're at, right? These are for the 4 kinds of policing boards under the Act. To an OPP, a First Nations OPP, a Municipal Police Service Board, and a First Nation Police Service Board, there are 4 separate training programs, and we haven't completed one of them yet.
And it's
I'm not saying it's not going to get there, because the challenge is to complete. The first one is the Municipal Police Service Board training program. Once we get that done, the others will just be modifications of that. But I think it's optimistic to hope for that training to be available much before March. And I think that's aggressive. But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I've got my comments in.
Okay. I appreciate that. And again, my perspective is we're excited about the training. Let's get it done. Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for that. Any further questions on Zone 5?
Just one thing on Zone 5,
yep.
And it hasn't happened yet, is there's a Zone 5 bylaw that restricts the executive assistant of the Zone 5 executive from being the executive assistant if he or she is not a member of a police service board within Zone 5. The current executive assistant is not a member of the police service board. So that created a bit of a problem, but the solution is just to change the bylaw. So I've drafted up a bylaw amendment that will be approved in March, so that the current secretary will be allowed to continue. And that's important because she has a long history and she's terrific. Not as good as Mary Lou, but she's pretty good.
Got it. Okay. So motion to receive this Zone 5 report, if we could. Mayor Post, myself, all in favor? Yes. Thank you. Item 16 is the action registry. So this is a list of all the projects that we have ongoing. It's on page 20 in section 2 of the documentation. Is there any comments or questions regarding the action register? No, seeing none. Can I have a motion to receive this report? Ken, thank you. Lisa, thank you. All in favor? Yes. Very good. Item 17. So this is the Board of Government Framework Project, and it's on page 25 in the documentation. Member McSweeney, did you want to speak to this report?
I'll be very quick. So first of all, the 17.1, the logo, I'm having a discussion with Kim Gaynard of the OPP. I think it's Wednesday, Mary Lou, to try to sort out this OPP logo issue. So I'll try to sort that out and report back to the board when I do.
Okay.
You recall we had drafted up a mock logo, and then Ken had suggested, and wondered whether we could just use the OPP logo in the middle of that rather than just the words or the letters OPP. So I'm going to have that out with Kim tomorrow, and I'll report back.
Did you want to speak to the phases that phase 1 and phase 2, and specifically phase 2 and interaction with the town clerk and expectations, or?
I'll do that. So, but just going down 17.2, I think I've already reported on the training.
Yeah. Yes.
And the enforced date of the CSPA, the new legislation that came out in an all chiefs memo not too long ago, December 23rd, which designated April 1st as the date. So that's why we're talking about April 1st, not the spring of 2024, which was the timing that we were previously given. 17.4, the documentation that needed to be co-signed with the town has now been, that was basically a couple of our policies has been co-signed, and that has been finalized and attached to our governance memo. And 17.5. Okay, so that's just phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 1, we've completed our governance framework. As you all know, I've already had at least one request from another board for a copy of it, and that was the board in Jennifer Haley, I think the board in Brant County. I've sent it along to her. There will likely be other requests. And I think with respect to transparency, just that note in the second bullet under phase 1, I think just to refresh your memories, the board has already decided as a matter of our transparency policy in D3F to be as transparent as possible on our website. So we are going to just go forward and execute that mandate by making sure that other than confidential in-camera information, we will publish things on the website. That will be the default position as opposed to having a default position of not publishing. And I think that's the right decision. Phase 2, I've already started revising our governance memo to comply with the new CSPA requirements in April 1. It's a significant undertaking. It kind of helps that I'm looking at the legislation in connection with the mandatory training modules in any event. So I'm kind of taking from that learning and applying it to our governance framework. But I can't tell you when I'm going to have a first draft available. I just can tell you that I will have a first draft available before April 1st. And that's it.
Okay, very good. How about in phase 2? Do we want to talk about the clerk's role at all? Is there anything there to cover off? It's the third bullet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what role that Raylene would like to take, but I'm always happy to have a second set of eyes looking at drafts as they're produced.
Raylene, if I may, we're new to each other. We're new to you, and my understanding from the brief interactions that we've had thus far is that the PSB and the Police Services Act is something that you're quite familiar with and can provide some input to. Did you want to comment on what role you think you would best play here and how we can interact with you in the best way?
Thanks. So I am quite familiar with the Police Services Act and the incoming legislation on April 1st. I believe that the role is within the board itself. However, I will be available as a resource should any member of the board require any assistance in going through the amendments that may need to happen for their procedural policies that may need to be amended for the April 1st deadline.
That's great. Based on what
So-
you're hearing, do you have any thoughts for us? Does it sound like feels like we're all over it, but is there anything that strikes you thus far? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but is there things that you're seeing or concerned about?
No, I actually feel like you have a very robust plan. Your project planning for the year looks quite impressive. I would just say just making sure that any of your current procedural guidance documents, such as your board's procedural bylaw, references the appropriate act starting on April 1st, because I'm pretty sure most of them don't say the Policing Act or successor thereof, although it would be implied. Just making sure that any of those changes that might be in the new legislation flow through to your new ones. But that'll all come in time, and I don't think the ministry expects all of the municipalities to have everything done to suite, with only allowing 4 months notice prior to the implementation date.
Gotcha. Ian, I inadvertently cut you off. Did you want to?
No, it's okay. Yeah, fingers crossed for forbearance, government forbearance, always something that we like to rely on, but it's difficult to predict. So that's great. So Raylene, Mary Lou, if I could ask you to send Raylene our current governance framework with the policies and everything attached to that memo. Raylene, if you haven't looked at it already, that will give you a pretty comprehensive view of our current governance process, and it's those documents that I'll be revising to comply with the CSPA.
Good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you both for that. Appreciate it. Okay, so for 17, can I have a motion to receive that information? Oh, Mary Lou, yes. All right. Okay. Board members, is everyone aware of what eScribe is? Do you want me to? No. Okay. It's essentially a tool that allows us to compact our information and have it on one site, and you can click on different links within that report, and then it calls up the reports, and it just would make things easier as opposed to a long PDF. It's just, you just kind of click on each section as you go along, and you know, you can keep up to speed with what's going on in the meeting in a much more efficient fashion. Is that a good explanation? And so we could move over to that system, link in with the town if the board thought it prudent to do so. And just one last piece to that, it is an onerous amount of work on our EA to put the board documentation together under the current process that we're doing. And this would make things much more efficient for her. And then I think it would make preparations for meetings that much more efficient as well. And again, if I didn't say it, town council's on this now, and at first it took a little bit to get used to, but it's super intuitive and very easy to do. So any questions? So Mayor Post.
I would just make the comment that I would absolutely support us moving to an eScribe system. I find that the Police Services Board, and Mary Lou does an amazing job, is the hardest one for me to find my agendas and get myself organized for, because they are coming from an email rather than from eScribe. I would absolutely support flipping over to that system. It's worked really well for council. There's a bit of a learning curve, but most municipalities now are using eScribe for their agendas and minute keeping.
Very good. Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, absent any further discussion, I'm happy to make the motion, and the motion would be that the board receive the update provided and approve next steps described above, including moving to an eScribe system.
I just had a question. So will there be like a training, or just ask Mary Lou how to use it? So I've never heard of eScribe.
Yeah. Raylene, thank you.
Thank you. So our team met today actually and discussed, finalized what would be an MOU to be used with the Police Services Board if the board chose to move to the eScribe system. It's, if you've ever looked at one of the council agendas, that's done through the eScribe system and you would receive your agendas that way. All of the members would not have the same access as council has for theirs. They would be accessing it through the website, much as the public would in those instances. But if you were to go on the town website right now and look at one of the council agendas, that's in essence what your Police Services Board agendas would look like. So there would be minimal training required. Our MOU that we've drafted would provide for Clerks Division staff to provide one-on-one training to Mary Lou and be available to the board members while it's being implemented. And then the support services of eScribe themselves would be available to Mary Lou in order to move forward after that. So yeah, there would be no cost, as there would be no additional cost for us internally to add Mary Lou as a user and keep it within the Town of Orangeville domain.
Very good. So Ian, you were putting forward the motion that where you receive the updates and approve the next steps.
I just after Raylene said that, I just had a follow-up question. So for for board material, if we use the town's eScribe system, nevertheless, access to our eScribe documents will be limited to Police Service Board members. Is that correct?
That isn't it. It won't be as confidential. There will be some town staff that will see them. Is that?
Well, I think that's a problem for our in-camera materials.
Raylene, did you have any advice for us on that?
Yes, when we were developing the MOU, that was one of the things that we did say is that our eScribe administrators, which is just for staff in the clerk's department only, have access to see anything and everything that goes through that eScribe system. We can see who's actually actively looked at those documents as far as I'm aware. So we as staff take quite pride in our code of conduct that we've taken with confidentiality, and we don't access documents that aren't within our realm of doing so. But yes, we would have the capability to see those. The other option is that if you were to use eScribe, you could use it for your open meeting agendas and then continue to put together a PDF package for your closed session and keep it completely separate if that is the wish of the board to use so. But part of the program would require that the administrators would see anything that you uploaded for your agendas.
Board members, any thoughts or comments? Mayor Post?
I have absolutely no concerns with the clerk's department team having access to the confidential information through our Police Services Board. They are the gatekeepers of all of the information really for the town of Orangeville. And I trust that they wouldn't utilize their access in any terrible way. I would be completely supportive of this.
Very good. Ken, did you want to speak to this item?
Yeah, I have a concern because I believe under the Police Services Act, you have to be sworn in to be order access to confidentiality.
We have sworn in the past. We haven't done it.
Because before you get close,
I haven't had a new member since OPP came in.
Yeah, because you have to take an oath, and that oath is the oath under the Police Services Act and the confidentiality behind it, the legislation.
Mm-hmm.
So,
where are you at, Ian?
Well, I hear what Lisa's saying, but I'm also concerned. At what stage, Mary Lou, what stage does the eScribe system kick in? Like we just, according to our service standards, we get together a couple of weeks before and decide what the agendas and the agenda materials will be. And that process involves an exchange of emails between Todd and you and I on materials and draft agenda. So would that be part of the eScribe system? Because at that point, we don't even, there's a bit of back and forth, right? This should be an in-camera item. This should be a public item. it's not decided until we decide on what the agenda will be, what is in camera and what is public.
Yeah, so that process would still be the same way. It would just be converted to an eScribe system afterwards. So really the discussion is do you want open and closed to be part of eScribe? If not, an option could be, well, continue as is, don't have eScribe, and then another one could be have closed in a PDF format and open in an eScribe. Mayor Post has shared that she's fine with both being in. Ken has shared his thoughts. Oh, Mayor Post, did you want to?
I just have one extra comment. The comment that Ian just made about your discussion about closed session items going back and forth through emails ahead of time to prepare your materials. All of those emails are subject to FOI. So right now you're probably actually more secure having them being uploaded into eScribe than you are using an email server to have those discussions. And the clerk's team, I just messaged Raylene through the meeting and she said that they've got all of their privacy administration clearance for PSBs as well.
Yeah, I'm not worried so much about the FOI process. We can deal with redaction and personal information through that process. But I hear you, Lisa. I don't want to delay things. I'm not. To be honest, I'm not sure. I'd like to think about it.
Okay, so from where my standpoint is, I just want to share. I would be in favor of moving totally to eScribe as well. I think we'd be just fine. But,
I'm in favor of the process. I'm just hesitant because of the confidentiality issue. I just want to think about that.
Lisa, did you want something further?
My commentary then, if there needs to be some time, is that we move forward currently with our open session items moving to eScribe immediately and continuing our closed session items as we are until the next meeting where we can have a more fulsome discussion.
I agree with that.
I'm okay with that too.
Okay, well, that sounds like a motion that was moved and seconded and thirded. Did you get that, Mary Lou? Okay. Sure. Yeah. And I think I'm the only one that didn't vote, so we'll just call that all in favor. Okay. Mary Lou, are we good there? Okay. Thank you, everyone. I kept trying to move it on and I shouldn't have done that. So thank you for the wholesome discussion. So this is section 18 is a report from in camera. I think I can do this fairly quickly. And so we wanted to acknowledge and congratulate our new Board of Education trustee, and that is Alethea O'Hara Stevenson, and she will be a guest at this forum at some point in the near future. There is board appointments to happen to this board. So this board will be looking for 2 new members of the community to come on to this board, and that process will start soon. We'd like to have them on board for April. So within the next month or so, the documentation will be released and the public will be encouraged to apply.
So, Mr. Chair, just on that, I think everything that the town needs to receive from the board, it has received.
Correct.
So I think the timing is now over to the town, including Tabitha has the language that we've settled on to put on the board website announcing it. So I'm not sure what the town will put on its website or, but everything, the board has done everything it needs to do. And now we're just sort of over to the town for execution.
Okay. When Mayor Post, would that be something that you would follow up on? Can you find out a timeline from HR and just informally let the group know? Would that be okay? Okay, so that's great. And then the community issues. So actually, I think at this time, I would turn the meeting to Mayor Post, and I'll have you talk about the gender-based violence.
Good.
initiatives that you have.
Yep. Thank you very much, Chair Taylor. Recently at both the Orangeville Council and the Dufferin County Council, we unanimously moved a motion and resolution to officially declare intimate partner violence and gender-based violence as an epidemic in our community. This came as a result of Justice Minister Rafirani back in August declaring gender-based violence as an epidemic based on the federal government's formal response to a coroner's inquest. And there was several other items on the recommendations from that inquest, but number one was declaring it as an epidemic. So both Town of Orangeville Council as well as County Council most recently did make that declaration. I also recently attended an event about intimate partner violence in Brampton, and one of the counselors that was also present on the panel that I was sitting on is from the town of Sault Ste. Marie. And in Sault Ste. Marie recently, they had a horrific incident of intimate partner violence that was a femicide where 2 women and children were murdered by an intimate partner. As a result, their municipality as well also did the declaration, but they went one step further, and it was the Police Services Board who also did the same, and that was in support of the situation that they were in. But it was a good practice. I believe that our police service is incredible, and they're going to be the ones who really lead the way in a lot of the work that we want to do in this sector. So I did put together a motion. I've sent them out to the members. I will read the resolution, if you don't mind, if you can bear with me, Chair Taylor, just so that the public can hear it as well. The resolution reads, whereas the safety and well-being of the Orangeville community and its residents are of paramount importance to the Orangeville OPP Detachment Board, and whereas intimate partner violence and gender-based violence, also known as domestic violence, poses a significant threat to the security and welfare of individuals within our community, involving any use of physical or sexual force, as well as emotional and psychological abuse in intimate relationships. And whereas on August 16th, 2023, Justice Minister Rafirani acknowledged gender-based violence as an epidemic and committed to addressing this issue comprehensively at the federal level. And whereas it is imperative for local law enforcement to actively contribute to community safety and well-being by addressing the rising incidence of intimate partner violence, particularly considering the alarming increase during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Orangeville OPP Detachment Board receives and endorses the resolutions by both Orangeville Council and Dufferin County Council with regards to intimate partner violence. Number 2, that the Orangeville OPP Detachment Board recognizes intimate partner violence as a significant concern affecting the safety and welfare of Orangeville residents. Number 3, the Orangeville OPP Detachment Board commits to prioritizing the prevention and response to intimate partner violence within the community. Number 4, the Orangeville OPP Detachment Board will collaborate with relevant stakeholders, including local government, community organizations, and social support services, to ensure that the prevention and response to intimate partner violence is prioritized in the community safety and well-being plan, including specific action steps to address intimate partner violence. And number 5, the Orangeville OPP Detachment Board will actively engage in public awareness campaigns and educational initiatives aimed at preventing intimate partner violence and promoting healthy relationships within the community. Be it further resolved that the Executive Assistant for the Orangeville OPP Detachment Board be directed to share this resolution with the Town of Orangeville, the County of Dufferin, all Ontario municipalities, and all Ontario Police Services Boards. I would take any questions, and I would also ask for a seconder for that motion, please.
Very good. What I'd like to do at this time is just call this open, and I think Ian, you had some commentary initially when we started talking about this. Do you want to speak to this item?
I'm fine with that. My only suggestion to tweak the resolution, which I think is excellent. Until April 1st, we are not the OPP Detachment Board. So I think that the resolution should refer to wherever it says OPP Detachment Board, should say the Orangeville Police Services, plural, Board. That's what we are until April 1. And then when April 1 comes and goes, the resolution is still there, right? Whatever we've done before April 1 is good after April 1. But since we're doing it now, I think we should use our current name.
Mary Lou, can you make that change to the resolution I sent you? Yeah, perfect.
If that's the only change that's offered, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm good with that one.
There's one other change, very last line. wherever it says police service, with service being singular, is the way that the April 1st legislation refers to police services boards. So if there's any generic reference to police service boards, it should be corrected to say police services boards.
Very good.
Excellent. Excellent.
Sorry,
I like
Lisa.
that. Yeah. Ken, did you have any commentary? No, none. Just to me, this is a bit of a different spin. Spin sounds disrespectful. A different alliteration of something that we've done twice now, and we've done it in Orangeville Council chambers. I was pleased to be with Mayor Post in County Council chambers, and I'm pleased again to support this, and I appreciate your leadership and admire you greatly for bringing this forward. So thank you very much for that. It's my pleasure to support it. Board members, we still have two other items to do.
I just have a second or two on that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ian is going to second, but just as a member of a policy and how we would go forward, we still have two other items on the agenda. Would we cover off that item and then come back, or do we cover off all in this section? What's best, Mary Lou? You want a motion on that one item, or do we cover off these other two items that are left on the closed report, and then do them all as sort of an omnibus bill? Or
I think because we're approving this, I think we're receiving everything else. Because we're approving this, it should probably be separate motion.
Separate? Okay, and then we still need to come back to these other two items. Okay, so we have a motion and we have a seconder. Can we have all in favor? Yes. Ken, you're good there? Yes.
Thank you all very
Great.
much.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mayor Post. Okay, so there's two other items in here, and this is ODSS bylaw concerns. And this is, there has been issues at ODSS in terms of vehicles on the property and basically being a nuisance to the people that live in the neighborhood. It's certainly been followed up with bylaw itself. It has been followed up with the OPP, and it has been followed up with the Upper Grand District School Board. And all of those entities are working to solve it and ensure that we're giving the support that's necessary to the people that are in that area. Board members, would anybody like to speak to that any further? Because I don't know what else we would talk about regarding that that session right now. Okay, so there's that. And then mental health issues. Mayor Post, did you want to speak to this item?
Yeah, I can provide a very quick update. I don't actually really have an update. This is in relation to the delegation that we did with the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions last year for the town of Orangeville at AMO, which was in August. The follow-up piece there was a couple of pieces. One was to have a roundtable with community partners to talk about mental health and to address some of the gaps in the community. That meeting still has not been scheduled. I was hoping that Minister Tipplow was going to be at Roma, which is coming up next week, but unfortunately he's not going to be there. So I will be following up with our MPP on this item when I have a meeting with her upcoming and hopefully the next month or so to continue to push that initiative forward. The only additional piece that I would add to that is, as part of the delegation, one of the other items that we asked for was continued and stable funding for the MCERT program. And I will ensure that I mention that in the letter that I'm sending as well, to talk about, here we are again a year later from the last time that we did this, and we're still having the problems with the ongoing funding to keep that vital program going in our community. So I will ensure that that's mentioned there. As we continue forward with the delegations, I will keep this board updated on any progress that I have with that, because I would like for this board to be a part of those conversations.
Good. Okay. So board members, a motion to receive that entire document of number 18, please. Ken, did you have your hand up? Very good. Can I have a seconder? Mayor Post, thank you. All in favor? Yes. Okay. Thank you, everyone. 19 is the PSB website review. There has been discussions on this. Vice Chair McSweeney, did you want to talk to this ever so briefly?
So just quickly, Tabitha Wells is fabulous. Just start out by saying that. You're lucky to have her, lucky to have Mary Lou's, but the two in combination are incredible. So we've had a couple of meetings on the website. I think the website's always a work in process. It can always be improved. But I think we're at the point now where it's pretty well, every change that we have thought about making to it has been implemented. What I might suggest to Mary Lou is if you could touch base with Tabitha. I know she had a couple of tweaks that she wanted to put on the website that we discussed at our last meeting. The three of us met about a week ago. So I just want to make sure that you and Tabitha put that to bed, and that then we can have confidence in our website being completely updated and accommodating all of the new initiatives that we've been bringing forward.
Very good. Any questions, board members? Ken, please.
Yeah, I do have a question. I was approached about 10 minutes before our meeting about our website where someone went into our public agenda and they wanted to join this Teams link and they couldn't find it. The public portion of the Teams link.
They wanted to join.
So they could watch the open portion, the open.
Oh, well, I think it's, isn't it on YouTube?
They can either watch it on YouTube, or if they're wanting to phone in, there's a telephone number that they can call to join by phone, but they can't join by Teams like this, like we are, unless they get a meeting link. So that's really only reserved for members and delegates.
So perhaps
otherwise they'd participate in the discussion.
Yeah. So perhaps on our agenda, we should probably write then, if you want to watch live, go to YouTube. We just make a note. I think that's where the confusion was.
Mary Lou, what do we say something about this on the website? I just don't have it in front of me.
Yes, on the website, we provide a link to the YouTube channel for them to join the public meeting.
Right. So there is a link, I think. I don't, are you saying, Ken, that they didn't find that?
I'm saying they just downloaded the agenda and they thought you click on the, like when you download a PDF, you can click on a link that takes you to a live thing. They couldn't find it.
Yeah.
They wanted to watch this live. So I'm just.
That's not where it is. It's in a separate link that's on the website.
I guess what I'm saying is to avoid such a confusion in the future, it should also be on the agenda. You know how we put the call-in number, the telephone call-in number? Also put, if you want to watch this live, go to a YouTube channel, which is XYZ.
I don't see why we couldn't do that. I'm trying to think about what we do for council meetings, because there isn't anything on the front of those for a YouTube channel either. You know, how do we, how do people know to go to the YouTube channel for council? I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm sure we could add that to the cover page. I don't think it would hurt anything.
I think that's fine. And the public
could add another line.
Yeah, opens it up.
Yeah. Do we need a motion to do that, or it's just a note?
I think it's just a note. I think it's just a note. Meredith's probably already doing
it. looks like she is. Okay, so motion to receive that report. Lisa, thank you. Have a seconder? Ken, thank you. All in favor, yes. Okay, so item 20, this is on here just as a reminder to make sure that we're keeping ourselves honest. There was a delegation that was done by the mayor of Mono, John Creelman, and that was to the Ontario government, and it was about some safety concerns along Highway 10. And at this point, as far as I know, the Attorney General has not responded to us at this time. Is that still the case, Mary Lou? We haven't received anything. Okay, so we will keep this as an active item and continue to follow up as we wait. Just quickly, I guess, motion to receive that item. We'll move on. Ken and Mayor Post, all in favor? Yes, thank you. And then 21 is the Community Awareness Initiative. Briefly, what this board has done is reached out to a bunch of different community groups within the town of Orangeville, and has said that the Police Services Board would like to link in with you. We'd like to understand what you do and see if we have some things that we could help each other with, and invite them to come to a board meeting. And that's what we've done, and that'll be an ongoing mission of this board. And we did that tonight, and that was an excellent presentation that was given. So I think that's where we are. I don't think there's anything else to do here on that item. Board members,
Just
any
to say-
comments?
Yeah, just to say, Todd, I mean, the response has been very encouraging. Mary Lou has fielded a number of emails from some of the recipient groups. So I think we should be very, very happy with the response. I think there's a lot of interest in contacting us and figuring out what the presentation opportunities might be.
Yeah, I agree. And that's exactly what this board should be doing, in my humble opinion. Okay, so item 21, the Community Awareness Initiative, if we could have a motion to receive that. Mayor Post, Ken, thank you. All in favor? Yes. 22 is just an update on the noise bylaw update. I know this board has been very involved in ensuring that the noise bylaw would go through. It was presented to council recently. There was an article in the Orangeville Citizen. It will come back to be passed by council at some point in 2024, and modified mufflers and the like, all of the different things that this board has discussed is apparently going to be in that. So look forward to seeing that from our bylaw department and clerk's department. And that's the end of that update. Is there any questions from board members regarding this? No? Okay, motion to receive that information, please. Mayor Post, Ian, thank you. All in favor? Yes. Okay, very good. So item 23 is the approval of the public session meeting minutes. This is on page 55 in section 2. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, Mayor Post, motion to receive. I have a seconder for that. Ian, thank you. All in favor? Yes, thank you. Item 24 is the OAPSB CSPA Summit. The summit is at the end of February. It's of a great importance because of all the different things that are going on with the board. And what we have decided as a team is that Vice Chair McSweeney will attend on behalf of the board and report back to us. Any questions or comments on this item? No? Okay. Motion to receive this information about Member McSweeney. Ken, thank you. Ian, thank you. All in favor?
Is it to receive or to receive and approve?
I'm sorry, I guess we would receive and approve. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ken and Ian have done so, and all in favor of receiving and approving. Thank you for that. Yes. And so we are now at question period. Is there any questions on the line? Okay. Yep. So caller, if you want to *6 to unmute yourself, and you can certainly ask a question. No? Okay. So no questions. Presentations we've already had. No delegations. Correspondence, Mary Lou, anything to share at this time? No? Okay. New business. So there is one piece under new business, and that is that we know that there is a community safety initiative being brought forth within the Settlers Creek area in the west end of town. I have reached out to those individuals, and I know that the inspector has done the same. And, you know, if there's anything that we can do for Settlers Creek in terms of helping them get this up and running, we're certainly supportive of that. Just again, if any citizen is interested in running a community safety initiative, it is just that. You'll get the support of the Police Services Board and the OPP, but the reality is that community does the work. They run the community association. The board and the OPP are not the operators of such things. So just wanted to make that point clear. So congratulations to Settlers Creek as they go forward. And then I have in my notes here, Ian, the work plan under new business. Did you want to speak to a work plan, or did you think we covered it?
No, I think we covered it, but there's just a couple of points very briefly that I wanted to raise, just to point out that and I think this has been posted on the website, our 2024 meeting dates have been settled and posted.
Yep.
And there was Lisa, there was a town hall forum that I thought I saw a note on February 21st at Tony Rose. Is that something we need to talk about?
I can speak very briefly to it. I haven't worked with communications yet to develop the full agenda, but the initial conversation that we had is that we were interested in having representation from the police service at those meetings that we've had so far. And we've had, I guess, three. We've had 3 so far. And one of the topics of conversation often is speeding in neighborhoods, additional patrols, those kinds of things. So having a member from the police service to address some of those resident concerns would be very helpful. Also to just provide a little bit of information on what's going on in the community from a safety and well-being perspective. I think it would be really great to have the inspector or one of the officers there. So stay tuned because we will be working on that. And yes, February 21st is the date, and I will send the board an update once we have that laid out.
And an invitation.
And an invitation, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yes. And so, Mr. Chair, the final item I just wanted to mention was the International Women's Day on March 8th. And just to say publicly that the board has decided to purchase a couple of tickets. It's hosted by the Family Transition Place, and the board's tickets will be in support of that event.
Very good. And just on that, council will be there as well. So lots of support for such a great day. Okay, so any other new business? Nope, seeing none. I guess we're at the moment of adjournment. Can I have a motion to do so? Mayor Post, Ken, thank you. All in favor? Yes. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that. Enjoy your night. Good night.
Good night, all.